So today we're going to continue on our journey to decide how to be happy all the time. And we all know that's an illusion, don't we? It's not going to be all the time. It's impossible for it to be all the time because we're always being in contrast. There's always going to be contrast. The key is, how do we move through the contrast and move back into a state of connection? And so today we're going to look at this idea of simplifying our life. And so before I really get into it, I want to lay some groundwork so that you have a framework of why it's important that we simplify our life. Because first off, our outside experience is always a reflection of our inner world. So everything starts with thought, and then it's brought out into form and into experience. Everyone is understanding that. In medicine, they're understanding it. Everywhere, we're understanding more and more and more. Listen to Joel Osteen with all of his Christian people following. He's teaching that philosophy right there. He's tying it to the Bible, but he's teaching the exact same thing. The inner reflects on the outer. Okay? We go from there and we find that when we simplify, we create more time, space, clarity, and freedom so that we can focus on what's really important to us. But you see, if we have things in our lives that are not serving us, whether it be thoughts, words, actions, people, events, jobs, automobiles, stuff, we got so much of that, it's taking time, it's taking energy. And when we're taking time and we're taking energy toward those things, we no longer have that time and energy to put on what we want. So we're struggling. We're always going in millions of directions. We're running around like Tasmanian devils, and we're stressing, we're hyperventilating, and we can't stop, we can't slow down, we can't meditate, we can't be present. And we're caught in a loop. A loop of despair, a loop of depression, a loop of hopelessness, a loop that only we can break when we stop, pause, and we begin to listen. What is that still small voice saying? What is it trying to tell us in this moment? The more we own, think about this, the more we own, the more we have to worry about. If you have 7 cars, you got to worry about 7 different engine lights coming on. Think about that. So with 7 different engine lights, it means I got to go to the auto dealer 7 different times. If you have 3 closets full of clothes, you've got to wash, clean, fold, dry clean all those clothes, and chances are most of them you'll never use again. Ever again. We begin to see happiness, when we begin to see happiness in our mind, we acquire less. We realize it's not the thing that brings us peace, it's the inner quality that I am that brings us peace. So we find that things in life are things that we desire to have as we express ourselves. They're not needed to bring us joy. And through this, we learn the art of non-attachment. See, in order to simplify our life, we're going to have to let go. And if we let go, we're going to remain unattached. And remember, Buddha said it so clearly. Attachment is the source of all suffering. When you're not attached, you're free. When you're free, you're divine. When you're divine, you're connected. You're at peace. You're in that place of right there in the middle. You're perfect at that point. You've got balance in your life. You're seeing life through the observer eye. When we simplify our life, we remove possible causes of stress that result from mental, emotional, and physical clutter. This came to me, it was my thought for the day, I think 1 or 2 days ago. This popped into my mind that when we remove and simplify our lives, we remove the causes of stress. And I'm going to really get into this in a little bit, but I want you to see this. I'm building a framework. I want to build a framework so you have a foundation from which to go. We got to declutter our things, our space. We got to declutter the people in our life. Ooh. That caused someone's butt to pucker. Yeah, it's the people. We got to declutter our mind. When we declutter, we give ourselves freedom. To declutter, we must use the power of meditation as well as our physical and mental ability to release all objects that no longer serve us. So now let's talk. Let's talk about this. When I examine simplicity, I see it means that we have to eliminate and automate. We have to eliminate everything that no longer serves us, and we have to automate things in our lives to make our lives simpler. So let's talk about elimination. Elimination, we know, is the process of keeping a healthy body. In the body, we have assimilation, we put in, we have elimination, we put out. As long as our body is functioning with perfect assimilation and elimination, perfect breathing in of air and releasing of toxins, perfect circulation where the blood is flowing and then the blood is returning back to the heart and being that, body will live in a state of homeostasis. So we understand assimilating and elimination, and there's always should be an equal there. Are you following that? There's an amount coming in. That's why, for example, I'm in the process of trying to put on a few pounds of muscle. And my goal is over 3 to 4 months to go from right now 183 pounds of 12% body fat to go up to 190 pounds at 10% body fat. That's my goal. What I realize is, wait a second, I can't keep eating the way I'm doing and just exercise more. I have to actually bring more food into my life. I've got to increase my intake and then shape it as I do things and then hopefully not eliminate everything I take in. So you see there's a process there, right? There has to be a process. There has to be a balance in that elimination. So if you want more things in your life, you want more clothes, eliminate clothes. But there's a thing where there's too much. There's too much. Here's what I found recently. I've been studying this work of this one doctor for about 3 days. And I talked with a chiropractor friend of mine, and he talked about it. And this chiropractor who's in Germany, and he's treating cancer, he has a 92.5% success rate. In the United States, the success rate is less than 10%. Success rate means that the person being treated is healthy 5 years after the diagnosis. If they die before the 5 years, it's not considered a cure. This gentleman, this doctor, has attributed that in the 30-some thousand people that he's treated for cancer, 85% of the cancers are caused by stress. Stress. And it's not the normal stress. It's not like the stress that we've got, well, I'm going to do this. You know, there's stress in life that's natural. There's natural stresses in our lives. It's not that. It's the stresses of a significant event or a person, something that is really a life change, something that's really monumental that we've not made peace with. And so what his program is that he sits down with the client, just like I would sit down with you if I were doing spiritual counseling, or a practitioner would sit down with you and do spiritual counseling and say, okay, here's what you're saying is the issue. Let's find out what's cause. Well, cause is what's happening in your life. What are you thinking about? And we got to peel back the onion, because it's never the first thing. It's always something below the level. You know, the onion's got many levels to it. And most of the time when people come in and they're looking for spiritual counseling, they don't realize it's not what they think it is. It's something even lower than that. And so you keep asking more questions. And once you get to that event, then the idea is to neutralize it. By neutralizing, you have to be able to see as much good as bad. You've got to be able to see that they have that trait and you have that same trait as well, even though you may not be expressing it. Because we all own every trait that's out there, but we have a choice as to what we're doing with that trait. When we can come into that balance, that event no longer has emotional charge. There's no stress. But sometimes in our lives, there will be people in our lives that we can't heal ourselves of that quick. But if we've got a disease or the appearance of disease happening in our lives, we don't have a choice at that moment. We have to eliminate the cause that's causing us stress now. And what this doctor does is he says, that person has to be out of your life, and you have to say they're out of your life forever. When he removes the stress, the body heals itself. He talks about the cancer is in a tumor. It's isolated in that tumor. And he talks about when the body's functioning, it's isolated there so it's controlled. So the doctor says when you leave the stress and then he puts you on a raw food diet, he's putting you on alkaline purified water, and he says the body will eliminate the tumor. The tumors will disappear. The body is the healing vessel. We just have forgotten how powerful we are. We have forgotten how powerful we are. We have given our power away. Remember, we talk about this all the time here. We are individualizations of the infinite. We are whole, perfect, and complete. That means if we are whole, perfect, and complete, the power to shift, to shape, to recreate our lives is right here within us. We have just fallen asleep. And we've got to awaken ourselves to at least the possibility before we can have the probability. See, if you're having stress in your life, it doesn't matter what someone else is doing. They're not going to take the stress away. Only you can. So we have to eliminate things. So we've got to eliminate just take your junk drawer today. When you go home, go in your junk drawer and clean it out. And if you haven't used it, get rid of it. More importantly, take your wallet or your purse. Some of you women aren't going to like this. You got to clean that sucker out. Because some of you ladies, there's 30 pounds in that purse. The question you got to ask is not that there's 30 pounds, but is it necessary? And or am I carrying around? And men, do you have a George Costanza wallet? You know what that is? It's a wallet that's got so much packed in, one more little thing and that wallet's going to explode. Do you know who loves fat wallets? Chiropractors. Because if a man has a wallet in his back pocket, no matter how much it has in it, you sit down, it throws your hip out of alignment. Do you know that? You didn't, did you? That's why you put your wallet in your front pocket or you put it in a coat pocket. Never in your back pocket. You're going to sit on it. You see, everything about life is being in alignment. And yet we don't think about, am I doing anything to take my body out of alignment? See, that's where we teach personal responsibility here at Agape. But we're not aware when to take that responsibility. So we're eliminating stuff. We're eliminating people. We've got to do the forgiveness work on the events that have happened to us. And forgiveness work for me is to see the balance in it, to neutralize it. But not only do we want to eliminate, we want to automate. Because think about this. Let's take finances, for instance. As much as possible, my finances are automated. What comes in goes into the bank. What goes out is automatic. I have almost everything automatically being paid off of my credit card. My tithe to Agape, my investments to my portfolio, my bills that I pay out, I do not write checks. I don't carry cash. So that I charge it at the end of the month, it's automatically paid 100%. I don't have to deal with money. Think of all the freedom I have by not having to do all that work about monitoring everything. But I am making conscious choices what I'm putting on my credit card, what I'm charging. I know what's coming in. And then at the end of the month, I look and see where I'm at. And I'm not surprised. Because I've automated giving at 12% for me. I've automated savings at 30% for me. So immediately before anything happens with expenses, 42% of Gina and my money is already allocated. Now take the 58% left. Well, Uncle Sam's going to get its hunk, right? The rest are expenses. And I use that for our normal bills, for fun, for education, and for everything else. It's automated. So then the other thing I've automated is my workout, my health. I have my little container there, and here are my supplements based on being muscle tested, what I need. It's by day. Every morning I wake up, boom, I pop my supplements in. From there I go to the gym because it's on my calendar. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I have my routine that it's constantly changing. It's automatic for me to do. My cooking is automatic. I cook for myself most of the time because I'm a vegan. I cook for myself. I've automated in my house that we have pure water. I have a full in-home water purification system, and I also have an alkaline filter, so I'm taking in healthy water. I know that what I buy is always organic, and I'm feeding myself all the time. It's automated. I don't even have to think. It's the only thing I do. So I've automated that. Now, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I meditate. That's on the calendar. I've automated my meditation. After my meditation, I send out my daily thought. After that, on my way to the gym, I start doing my affirmations and my mantras. Back from the gym, I'm doing my affirmations and mantras. I take the dog for a walk. I'm doing my affirmations, mantras, and prayer work. It's automated. There's no time. I can't go anywhere in my life without doing those things on my body and my spirit. I don't have an excuse because I've automated it. You hearing that? Because so many times I hear people say, I don't have the time. I'm too busy. No, you haven't prioritized it. You've created so much clutter in your life through your thoughts, your words, your actions, your activities, and the people that you've not taken time for what's important. You see, when we declutter and we get rid of things, we've got to find a way to clear, but not let more stuff and crap come in, but make it stuff we've chosen that's a benefit, that's a value, that will nurture us and cause us to create our lives. I think back, and when Gina and I got married, we were really naive because we got married for sex. Let me rephrase that. I got married for sex. She freely gave the sex, but she wanted to get out of the house. She wanted to leave her mother, and trust me, this was a woman that if you wanted to follow about simplicity, this was a woman to simplify by leaving, okay? And what I didn't realize, but Jean was called to not see her mother for 5 years because at that time, she didn't feel she could deal with it. Her mother was that toxic. Alcoholic, dominating, toxic, abusive. So she said no. And I supported her. Then gradually, Jean was able to see her mother differently. And then gradually her mother came into her life. And then Jean was there when her mother passed, and they had complete peace. But sometimes there's a time when we've got to let go of things in order to heal. There's a time when we got to let go of things so that we can start to recreate what our life looks like. How do we want it? Because remember, our lives are controlled by our habits of thinking that we have in place right now. And most of those habits of thinking we don't know about. We don't even realize that we're thinking them. So we got to wipe that board clean, and we got to start creating new habits. So you got to eliminate, that's the wiping. And then you got to automate. That's the creating. And remember this, a thought pattern, a habit, a belief is simply something you automate. It goes on automation. You do it every day at the same time in the same way. And it becomes so that it's no longer think about it. I get in my car and it's Om Shrim Hrim Klim Gam Gam Ganapate Veravadada Sarvajaname Vachamane Swaha. That's the mantra the guru gave me. It's automated that when I get in the car, that mantra just comes out of my mind, and while I'm driving, the mantra is nonstop. Because I understand that the vibration of the mantra is shifting the vibration of my body, and it's helping me connect into the moment and be present in the greater expression of me, not the limited ego expression of me. So I have a clear definition. And what I share with you is that one of the things that we do at Agape is we talk about values all the time. We talk about until we know our values, we don't know how to live our life consciously. Well, my values are really simple. Spiritual self-actualization, teaching and speaking about how to better self-love through conscious living, building intimate relationships and spiritual community that supports that, health and wellness, and being financially free to do what I want, when I want, how I want. You see how quickly those come out? That's because they're ingrained. So all the habits I'm building, the picture I'm painting of my life, are directed by those values. But until you know your values, how do you direct your life into what you desire? So there's work involved. It's not that easy to simplify. You've got to do work. It's not like you just get rid of things. No, it's time to sit down. What is it that's driving you? And when you get your basis, then you can build your dream. Once you build your dream, then you build your habits. You put them on automation, and anything that's not serving that dream, you let them go. I feel good about that. I feel good about it because what I understand clearly is that I know that this process works because it works for me. I've tested it in the area of my life and money. I've tested it in the area of my life with relationships. I've tested it in the area of my life with health. I've tested it in my area of life, which is spiritual. Those are my four main areas of life. And in every one of those areas, I am living or I'm well on the way to my end result and desired goal. And I had to work at each of those areas. At one time, I had to overcome a brain tumor. And I did that through the use of these tools. At one time, I can remember Gene and I were in debt up to our butt. Today, we owe zero, and we're very well taken care of for our retirement when we decide. With the relationships, there was a time I was almost divorced. There was a time when both of my sons were rebelling and we probably might not ever be together. There's a time when I was disconnected from spirituality in its completeness. I wanted nothing to do with it. So I know what it's like not to have what I have because I started where I didn't have it and I moved myself and created it. And what I know is if I can do it, you can too. Because remember this, you are whole and perfect. Just like you are, just like everyone else is, and no one is better than you. Because no one can be you, and if no one can be you, then you're the perfect individualized expression of the divine, right here, right now, and forevermore. Let's pray.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask that you go to our website, agapecsl.com. Once there, click on the donate button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. Or if you would like, text your gift by simply dialing 972-532-6976. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to you in the world. I would ask that if you like this message, to please subscribe to my YouTube channel under my name, Lee Wolak. Again, I want to thank you for joining me in the Agape community as we learn how to better self-love through conscious living.